How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Labeled, a Brand in the Making. My name is John.
I'm Ariel.
And we have a really special show for you guys. We're actually going to be talking about ourselves.
Yay!
Yay! I mean, how conceited can we be, right?
Oh, we can get there.
Yeah, well, okay, listen. We can get very conceited. But we wanted to talk about our experiences as, young entrepreneurs, what we went through to start our businesses. Obviously, Ariel, she's going through the process of creating her own collection. So we wanted to kind of give you guys more insight on our experiences, what we've gone through, and also give you more insight into what it takes to start your business. Not that we know everything, because obviously we don't. We don't know everything. But, we're in the beginning stages. So if we can give other people insight onto how it works, why not share the wealth,
Yeah. And if we, F up, well, you're going to F up with us if you follow us. So.
Exactly. And we F'd up a lot. We F'd up, well, at least I did. I mean, you'll make a lot of mistakes in this process. So it kind of comes with it. But at least if we can give you more insight into what we did and how we got through it, it will help you guys in the long run.
Or you can F up with confidence.
That too.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I guess, I don't know, Ariel, do you want to get started and talk about your experience, or do you want me to go? How do you want to do this?
I think just start from the beginning. So at what point did you realize you wanted to be a designer or into marketing?
So my background is, in undergrad, I actually didn't really study fashion. I studied biology. My family, they're Nigerian. For those that are listening that are Nigerian, they probably know my family had this expectation of either becoming a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, something very traditional that for me wasn't really what I wanted. I didn't want to be that traditional minded person where I just would get a job just for money. I was very creative. I did a lot of I was in the drama club in high school. I was in French club in high school, also French club in college. So I did a lot of creative stuff, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So after college, I got into, I just kind of landed a job in fashion for this company called First Class Fashion. And I was working there for about 2 years, really enjoyed the process. And that kind of made me want to go into the fashion industry just because of the creativity behind it all, just being in the industry as a whole. And then, I think in the back of my mind, I always wanted to have my own business and start something that I owned specifically, but I didn't know what it was. And then, I just really loved fashion. I really love the product, feeling the product, touching the product, just having that visceral experience. And then I was like, oh, retail. Why not have a retail store? At that time, this was 2014, I think? Yeah, 2013, 2014. I graduated 2014. And at that time, retail was kind of going down, and it was more about online, shopping online. And I really wasn't thinking of doing an online retailer. I was mostly thinking of having a retail store, and that's kind of what my dream was. So in order to do that, you kind of have to get these experiences. So I started working different retail jobs, mostly in merchandising, styling, visual merchandising, and then my role where I met Ariel at Neiman Marcus, we were actually I started working before her. That's another funny story. We'll talk about that story later, actually, because it's a long one. But no, I started working at Neiman Marcus, and I was the brand representative for a couple of different designers that we had in the store. And it kind of gave me a lot of experience into merchandising, really working with this high-end customer, and just kind of getting an understanding of what the shopping patterns are, especially in this time where the consumer behavior is going towards online, and then seeing how that's affecting the retail store. So that's kind of where I started in the beginning. I think at that time also, I was my manager, she knew that I wanted to be very entrepreneurial. She was very supportive on that. And she understood that I'm not how do you say it? While I like interacting with customers, sometimes interacting with customers in person can be a lot.
Especially the luxury ones.
Especially the luxury one. You kind of have to bend over backwards in order to like appease them, which is fine, especially if they're really, really nice. Like,
oh yeah, you'll go above and beyond.
Go
It's
above and
always
beyond.
the ones where you're like, who raised you?
Yeah, those ones are a little challenging, especially if you. But then you have to also think like, okay, well, they're spending $5,000, so.
But it's still like, I feel like everyone should have to work retail at some point in their life just to understand, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, if you're in fashion and you work and you want to be in fashion, working retail will give you an idea of understanding the customer, the end customer, when all production, all marketing, all everything that goes into creating just one garment is handed to the customer. You'll understand that process a lot more.
I think it's very beneficial, because I know in the design world you're very one-sided. When you're thinking of designing, you're thinking, okay, this will be cute. But then customers, when they see it in the store, they're just like, okay, but I need this, I need that. Like, this is itchy.
Right.
Like, what is this? Like, why do I need it?
You'll get a great understanding of that. It's really, it's pretty, like, it's interesting because when I started getting into designing, I was just like, I used a lot of my experiences and my understanding of this type of customer and tried to implement it into my designs. So it's kind of like backwards for me, whereas for Ariel, it's kind of like the regular progression, I guess. So if you want to speak on that, like how, like what kind of got you into fashion, or what kind of got you wanting to design, and like where you went to school, all that stuff.
Well, that's true, because if I were to start in retail before I knew I wanted to be a fashion designer, I don't know if I would have been a fashion designer, because the mindset customers have towards these clothes is, it sucks.
Yeah.
They treat it like garbage. They'll throw it in a pile on the floor, and like they'll just destroy it. Women will try to squeeze into like 5 sizes too small,
Right.
and break it, and then they'll be like, well, nah.
Yeah.
Or they'll wear it and return it. So I think that would have discouraged me. So maybe don't start in retail, but if you already know you want to be a designer, I think it's good. It's a good idea to get into retail just for like a month or two. That's really all you need. You don't need to stay there for years.
Do it for like a holiday season. Like do it for
my
during
God.
the holidays when while you're in school, and like, cause you're not tied to it. You're just there doing it for like, I don't know, 2-3 months, and then, or until you go back to school for for the spring semester.
Maybe they do it during summer. The holidays are brutal.
But they need to experience that. They really need to experience what it's like during what you will hate, like
You'll hate it.
You'll hate it, but like I think it would be good to understand what people go through, or what it's like during the holiday season, so that way you can implement that into your business. I feel like during the holiday season, I've implemented so many things that I've learned working retail into my business, even now. So you will learn a lot. You never know.
That's true.
Yeah. So when did you start getting into, like, when did you decide you wanted to be a fashion designer? What school did you go to? What was, tell us about you.
Oh, okay. So I'm that one person who has known since like they were super young. I remember in 5th grade, I drew like a little sketch of a person, and I put all this detail into the clothing, and I went to my mom, and I was just like, look, as a little kid would, look. And I remember I asked her, what career would this be?
Right.
And she's like, fashion design. So since then I was like, okay, I'm going to be a fashion designer, because I remember I would love going through my mom's closet, dressing up in her clothes, going shopping with her. I always loved fashion. I'd always be on like all the websites, looking at everything, memorizing. I feel like at a young age I had like a photographic memory. That is like long gone from now. But I remember I would know where all these clothes were from. I loved it. It was like an escape. So if something that was going on during that day didn't go well, I would just go online, pretend online shopping. You put it in the bag, you don't really buy it.
Right.
But it just felt nice. Like you can get away, create a whole new you with fashion, and just the retail therapy thing is a real thing.
Yeah, it was like an escapism type of thing. Yeah, that's awesome.
And so then my parents were very supportive, luckily, because I know a lot of people, when they hear their child wants to do fashion design.
Yeah, i.e. me.
Yeah. Their parents are not very encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
My parents gave me everything that I would need. They gave me a sewing machine, dress form, sketchbooks, fabric, anything that I would need. All the fabric ended up in a corner in my room, but because I would try to sew something and then F up. Mm-hmm. And then it would be like, all right, I'm done. Because I have little to no patience. So that's why, if you see on my Instagram, there's not much clothes because I just don't want to sew.
Right.
And that's why I'm not making masks right now, because I know people are asking. No.
Yeah.
But I remember they'd be like, okay, like here's, I think the Teen Vogue handbook. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, where they have like the sewing patterns in it? Or
No,
is it
so it was just it was everything about fashion. All the schools you needed to go to, and that's where I kind of learned about Parsons. And then through Project Runway too.
Yeah.
And then I did more research and found it was like the top school in the US for design. Mm-hmm. So we found out that they had a summer program. So when I was 16, I went to New York for the summer and did their little program. Now, if you want to get into fashion design, it is not easy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. I think I was going to quit like a couple times when I was in school.
Same. Even as I was designing like my first collection, I was like, oh, I can't do this. It's too much.
It's a lot. And in school, they make you, they call them croquis. So they're these little sketches that you draw of like all these outfits. They want you to do like 100 sketches in a night. And it's just, you think you can design all these things, but at some point you can't. But what's funny is that they do this on purpose, because you just kind of give up in your sketches at the end. And usually those are the sketches that you end up choosing for your final collection. Yes, because you're not overthinking it. At some point you're just like, I do not care. And that's, I think, where people's creativity really comes out, which is weird to think about. But I remember I would sketch something and I was like, I get it now. And the professor's like, you see? Yeah. It's like, well, I don't want you to be right.
Right. He wants you to be like very like carefree, very like not overthink it, but just do with what your creativity mindset is thinking instead of having to overthink it. I think that I agree with that process where it's like don't put too much effort into making it correct. Just go with the uncorrectness. Go with the unperfection. Don't go with perfection. Go with the unperfectness. And just draw and create whatever your mind comes to. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So after you graduated, what?
Also, I know at Parsons in the summer program we learned a lot. Like I would always sketch like little figures, but I remember I learned how to do it quick. And so that really helped in the process. So then I went to Parsons. I remember they did they don't do GEDs. It's like art. In the beginning, I did not like that. I thought, what am I going to do with this? Why are they making me take this? I just want to do design. I don't want to paint or build. I built a stool out of wood. Why do I need to do that?
Wait, so basically what they do, so it's more of like a associate. You go in trying to get your associates?
Bachelor's. So they have like just general art classes. So you'll do, I guess, wood shop.
Really?
Yeah.
So no, you don't design straight away?
No. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that, because I know with like FIDM, I don't go to FIDM by the way, but like with FIDM, nothing against FIDM.
Oh, I have something against FIDM.
she has something against FIDM. FIDM, I don't have anything against y'all. Don't come for me. But no, I know at FIDM they start with like general ed, like associate's degree courses, like like English, math, all that stuff, and then if you want to do the 4-year program. Oh no, actually you get your associate's degree in like, I don't know, you can get in like merchandising, mathematical merchandising, apparel design. You start with like the fashion courses first. And then if you want to get your bachelor's, you do the general ed business courses after that. So it's like it's kind of like reverse. It's like what you're studying, what you want to study, you do those courses. And then what you have to study to get your degree, you do those courses later on. So, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know if it's the same or if it's different right now. But, that's what's happening at FIDM. Parsons, I didn't know that it's like...
It's art first. Which, I mean, I loved sketching as a kid, but art was not like something I loved to do. I didn't love painting. I remember my hands were destroyed. They made us work with metal, like wire, and I had to build my shoe out of wire. Now, I must say I still have it to this day, and it looks pretty cool. But I did not expect to do that my first year, and it was just... But I got through it, and I understand why they did it. That's what makes it worse. It's because you always think you're right.
So based on your understanding, why do you think they made you do all that? Go through that process.
Because you have a better understanding of art in general. Because you have a bachelor's of fine arts.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm the only person with a bachelor's of fine arts who hates art. I hate art museums.
Really?
I hate them. They're so boring. The only part that I love about art museums is the armor section. For some reason, I love metal and clothes. I think that's the coolest thing, and that's the one thing I learned my first year.
I can see that about you, because based on your designs, I can tell that's like you're very more into that like structural, like architectural type design or whatever. So, awesome. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, no art museums.
No art museums. Yeah. So anything about art, don't go to Ariel.
No. But, yeah, I loved going to Parsons. The first 2 years. The first year was art. And then the second 2 years, I had great professors. They were...
Did they all work in the industry? Like for big companies and things like that?
Yeah, or they had their own business.
Oh, cool.
But they were very understanding. They would work with you if you had an idea. One professor may say, like, no, I don't think that's possible. Another one's like, we're going to make it possible. I was like, this is great. And then I got to senior year. They're very conceptual. I'm not a conceptual thinker.
Yeah.
First off, I can never explain myself. So if you listen to this podcast and you wonder why I talk the way I do, it's because I cannot explain myself. I'm not a very, eloquent?
Eloquent speaker.
Yeah, no.
She's not a public speaker.
No. No. So then when you had to explain your collection, I would just be like,
Here it is.
It should be able to sell itself. I always said, like, I'm not going to be there to explain this collection to the customers. So I feel like, why should I explain it to you?
Yeah, right. No, I agree.
So I'm still in that mindset, which I know is terrible. And people would love to hear your creative process and how you got to that. Yeah.
It's all about storytelling right now.
I know.
Every designer is doing storytelling.
And I remember Angela was saying, like, you need to have a story. And I was thinking after that podcast...
But I think the story and the inspiration can come from many, like, even with your collection right now, like you had a vision. I'm not gonna say the story right now because I kind of understand it now, but like I know it's like you got inspiration from somewhere to create the prints and all that stuff. So you can speak on that.
You could, but usually people have like it's this huge story. I was just looking through Pinterest because I'm basic, and I found this photo of I was started with a woven basket.
Right.
And then I saw this plant in the background of one of the photos and I loved it. And I said, all right, there. So then leaves.
Yeah. Boom. That's my inspiration.
Done. Can I say that?
You can't. The thing is, and I feel like a lot of designers actually have that mindset too. It's just like they have like a PR team or like a marketing team to kind of make it more elaborate than what it really is. Like, even with like, there are a couple of designers that their idea is so basic, and I'm like, it's basically this. But then when you read the show notes or the story behind it, I'm like, where? How? Like, I don't.
But do you change that for your website, or you just use directly what they give you?
I use direct. Sometimes I use what they give me, and sometimes I add a little bit more for my website. So if I have a designer that I'm featuring on my website, I just try to use generally what their aesthetic is. So like one of the brands that I carry right now, Alexandra, his style is more feminine, masculine aesthetic. So it's like an androgynous look, but it has like really clean minimalism, clean lines, and like very just sleek. So I put that in there, although with his collection, his show notes were kind of mixing, he came up with this like story of, I don't know, man versus woman, woman equality, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I get it, but it's like, it's still an androgynous look. It's not like, you don't have to go too extra. Just say what it is. It doesn't have to be that big, but it's a beautiful collection. I love the designer. I think they do a great job at designing just really nice contemporary clothes. But I feel like some designers, they kind of over exaggerate
Yeah.
on their inspiration and their storytelling, which listen, a lot of customers eat it up. I'm not gonna lie. Like I even eat it up sometimes whenever, eat it up meaning as in like I buy it. Like
You buy into it.
I buy into it. Like a lot of people buy into it. A lot of them actually believe this is what it is. And maybe it is what it is for specific designers. But sometimes I'm like, y'all could have just said this and it would have been a lot easier for me to understand.
Yeah.
So, but I get what you're talking about.
So
Right.
hopefully people, that's my story.
Yeah.
I'm straight to the point.
Yeah, straight to
Just
the point.
like how I was when I was a child, when they wanted you to write these 5-page essays, I was like, I can finish this in a sentence.
Yeah.
And you'd get the same point. Like, why read all this other crap?
Exactly. And I think that's kind of maybe would be your selling point. Like it's not too over exaggerated, where it's just straight to the point, making clothes for women to make them feel good. Whatever the story, whatever mantra, whatever storyline that you want to position to the customer, I think that if it's short and simple, I think that would like sell a lot more.
Yeah, because I remember I was reading these books. They're called Fashionary. They had like, what is it, business manual.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, okay, pick these words that would describe you. So I was like, okay, simple elegance.
Right.
Done.
Yeah. Done. Just those words. Simple elegance. I actually like that.
Thank you.
I really actually like that.
Right? Done.
Can I use that?
No.
You can trademark it.
I don't need to trademark it.
Oh, you don't? You can't trademark words? We're going to talk about trademarking a little bit later because I'm always confused on this and she's more knowledgeable.
Are you kidding me?
Would you trademark some things already?
Well, yeah. Well, and I also spoke to a lawyer because I was like, I'm not going into this.
See, we're going to talk about trademarking in another episode because we have to go
Oh,
over
we
that.
could probably do it in here.
We could probably do that here, but I'm just saying, we'll go more into deeper
Oh, yeah. We'll go
discussion.
into everything so you guys can learn from us,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So I want to go back into like school. So was it hard getting into Parsons? Was it hard staying in Parsons? Or like, how was the
I thought Parsons made it seem like it was going to be super difficult to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, well, crap, I'm not going to get in because maybe I'm modest, but I didn't think my art was that great. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to go in for design. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go in for art. Right. Yet you had to give an art portfolio, not a design portfolio. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, we're going to hope for the best. It might have helped that I did their summer program and did well in that.
Yeah.
And that probably helped me.
Okay.
But so I thought that. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get in. But I got in. I remember the day my mom told me. And I was like getting ready for a pool party in February because we live in California and it's always warm. And she came in. She's like, it's the best day ever.
Right.
But where was I going with this?
Like getting in, like.
I remember the first year there, and I saw other art students and their work. They were showing me what they did, and I thought, oh, I guess it wasn't that hard.
Oh.
I was like, ooh, that's what they got in with this.
Listen, she is shady.
I know. All throughout college too. I remember in design, like people show their designs to class, and I was like, I know it's terrible to think I was cocky.
I mean, hey.
It kind of went down now, but like.
Oh.
No, but I mean, you still have confidence.
Yeah.
In your work, but it's not like, oh, when I get out of college,
right,
I'm gonna be
this.
The Karl Lagerfeld.
That part. Listen, we all want to be Karl Lagerfeld.
Like bow down.
Okay. Listen.
That changed.
Oh.
And then you get to your first job, and then your boss is like, no, crush you, destroy your confidence.
So was it hard, so it wasn't hard for you to, stay in or, to stay motivated to do the work at?
No. When I got to the design part, it was fun. I loved it. I never wanted to leave or, sometimes I'd hate my professors more in senior year. And started to hate Parsons. I was like, well, you guys suck. Because, what the hell is this? I went to my senior year, I wanted to do evening dresses, and that was what I signed up to do. Then they changed it last minute. I was
wow. They changed the program? Or, they changed
the class was no longer evening. It wasn't specialized in that. It was just general.
Dang.
And so I was disappointed.
Yeah.
So, Parsons really helps out the students that are making a difference. So Angela, she got a lot of help from Parsons, which is great for her.
Angela and Luna are guests from the last episode.
Last week. But then me, it's like, the other people, it's like,
So it was more, they paid attention to to students that had more of like a
store that were making a difference. I thought that was what they were doing.
Okay.
But then I remember at the end of the year they do a fashion show of like the top 10 students, and to get in that you have to do a presentation to this panel of designers and other people who are working in the industry. Okay, I cannot speak, and I was just put in front with like these two models, like,
dang.
so here's my stuff. And I tried to come up with this BS story because that's what they wanted, that's what they eat up, and even then they were just like, I don't get it. It's like, yeah, because this is all like this is all bullshit.
Dang.
But you know, I hated it.
You hated the process of going through that.
Yes, and I know that's going to be in the future, and I'm going to have to talk to people about my clothing, but
I think because I mean, you were like what, 21, 22 at the time?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, 21. So I feel like now you have a lot. I feel like since then you've built your confidence and really built your aesthetic. Like, you know what you want to design. You know what you're going after. You know the section that you're in terms of fashion. So I feel like you'll be fine as your business grows.
That's what I'm hoping out of this podcast.
Yeah.
Too, is to just get better at speaking.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not speaking in front of an audience, this is still terrifying.
It is, especially when you have so many views. Even when we first started this podcast, I was like, oh my God, people are going to be seeing me. They're going to be hearing my voice, because I hate my voice on the podcast. But, you know, I think every week, every time I listen to it, I'm just like, oh, I get better. Because I feel like I have an accent, but I really don't.
No, I don't hear it.
Yeah.
I just think that's
some people say
the
I
way
do have
you
an
talk.
accent, though. I mean, it is the way I talk. But either way. But I think as you continue on, your confidence as you continued in the industry, your confidence has grown. Especially since the last 3 years since I've known you. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Because I know when right out of college, I worked at BCBG, and
she was an assistant designer.
Assistant designer for evening dresses, and then I got promoted in less than a year.
Look at her.
To associate designer, and then everything went bankrupt, and then I was on the chopping block to get laid off in like the future, with potential of being like brought back in if they did well. But
never did well.
Well, I don't know. I quit on the spot. Yeah, it was not a fun place to work.
I feel like they're not even. I don't think they're doing well now.
I think they're still fine. I know they were hiring, because I remember a couple months ago, I was looking for a job, and then I saw it, and I said, "Oh no, I'm traumatized."
Yeah.
But like after that, and then
do you want to speak on your experience working for that? Because I know. I mean, I don't know if you want to.
I don't know if I'm allowed to.
You don't think you're allowed to?
I don't know. Can you?
Let's talk about it.
It was a great learning experience. I learned how to work with everyone at like BCBG. So I worked with the sewers, the pattern makers, production team, the fabric team, the design team, everywhere. I did a lot, which is surprising, because I know for an assistant you do a lot, but I did a lot of the stuff that made a difference.
Right.
And like, yeah, you design a look, but it's all the other stuff that really makes it possible. So I would be with the sewers being like, okay, you need to go. If like, okay, I would put it with somebody else. I would know who was good at what and would manage that area. I would go into where they cut the samples, and I would place everything that was a print to make sure it matched. I would pull out fabrics. I would run to the production team and be like, okay, here are all the samples. This is what's wrong with this one. I would tag them all. And then I would also work on like the bill of materials. So I put like, okay, this has this many buttons, this many zippers, this fabric, all of that.
That's awesome.
I did a lot.
Yeah.
So.
What was it like seeing your designs in a store? Or did you ever see them in the store?
No.
Okay.
So you would be able to drape and do like some of the design. They'd have you sketch, but it was very rare if they ever used your stuff. And what was great about, I don't know if he's still working there, but the creative director after Lubov left, he was really into associates helping in the design. And he would look at our sketches and be like, yeah, I love this. Show this to your boss. But my boss was like, no.
Dang.
Yeah. So whatever. I mean, it is what it is, and it's not the end of the world. It was kind of nice. I remember I draped one thing, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna use it." Yay! She's like, "We're just gonna change this." Like,
So basically, the entire design was done.
I was like, "All right," and she goes, "That's just the way it is." I'm like, I just don't think you like me. I was like, "All right, whatever," but I learned a lot, and it was a great experience. I also learned what not to do in a business. Yeah, and I feel like that's what I also learned.
Yeah,
that's dope.
That's good. I think even for me, like working in retail, like you have those people where you're just kind of like, or those like experiences in retail where you're just kind of like, this, I don't think I'm gonna grow in this. Like it's not. I feel like you feel like you're wasting your time, or like you're met with rude people, or just people that are like just trying to discourage you or just don't like you. And it's always like, I feel like in fashion sometimes it's about like favoritism depending on the company you work for. Yeah. So it's like, with certain companies, and if you work under like, say if you work for like a big company like maybe Chanel, but you don't work directly with the new creative director, but you work with the boss under the creative director, that boss may not like you or may show favoritism to someone else. And then it's like, it kind of hurts your career because it's always about them. It's always about, you have to be liked. And like me and Ariel, we're not always liked. So we don't go with the grain. We kind of go in our own little path.
But I do what's best for the company.
Right.
I always have that in my mind. And then what I don't get along with is people who could give a crap.
Right.
Like they don't care to work. They don't want to do anything. They just kind of want to slide through life. And I have a huge issue with them. And I am not quiet about that. You will know.
Yeah.
I don't put up with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't understand companies who do.
Right.
If I had a company, they would be gone. I will not put up with that crap.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because I feel like you're here for a reason. I get it. Sometimes fashion, you can be jaded. There's a lot of times some people work for their companies for like years upon years, and then they're not in a position or making enough money or whatever the case may be, and they're just like kind of jaded, and they just decide, I'm just gonna do the bare minimum of what is required, and that's not okay.
But then at that point, when you're having that mindset, you should leave. Find something else. Because it's not beneficial to you, it's not beneficial to the company, and nothing's gonna change.
Right. But some people stay because the benefits are good, the pay is decent, I can get by. And I don't really have to work that much. Someone else is just working for me.
You're settling.
Yeah.
Don't settle.
Yeah.
You're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I can say that because I know what's happened to me.
Yeah.
I was at my last job for 3 years, and I'm only meant to be there for like 3 months.
Yeah.
It was just supposed to be like
an interim type thing.
Yeah. And it
lasted 3 years.
It was, and I was like, I'd always say, okay, but you're going to work on your collection. You're going to start your own business. You're going to do it. I didn't do it. Then coronavirus hit, and I was like, all right, now you're going to do it. Which is good, because then it finally, and I know a lot of other people have done the same thing.
Right.
Because I know when I went to the manufacturing company, they're like, oh yeah, so many other collections are being made. I was like, what? I'm not the only one?
Right, so now it's being oversaturated.
Crap.
So coronavirus was like the tipping point for you. Like that's where you're just kind of like, okay. Oh, well, obviously other things happened.
It wasn't like the tipping point, but it was like, okay, now you have nothing to do. You have no excuse. You can't be like, well, I'm tired from work, or I have all this going on. It's like, no, you're home all day.
Yeah, that's true.
But what really got me starting to go back into it, I remember one day I was at home, and it was just like I'm not doing anything with my life. Well, I was doing my job and everything.
Right.
But it's like, I'm not doing what I want to do. And I know my parents were never disappointed in me, but I was like, no, they're mad. They just spent all this money on me for school. I'm like, I got to get going. And so I was thinking late at night, I was thinking like 2 a.m, well, I better, take my website before somebody else does.
Right.
I don't know why I randomly thought that. So I went on Google, and I found that arielcampbell.com was still available. I was like, well, I better get this now before other people take it, since online is like booming, and you can't even, I think whenever I have a child, they're not even going to be able to find an Instagram username.
Oh, really?
They're all going to be gone,
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, okay, I need to get this done. And right when I got that done, I thought,
It's the first start. It's the first step. It's exciting.
It's so exciting. And so I was like, I can get an email with my name. So I was like, okay. So I started doing that. Then I was like, I could start a website. And it's easy.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So I started working on that. And then I was like, oh, I need a business card. And I was like, oh, I can get a phone number associated with this. Okay.
So the moral of the story, just start small, and then it will get you to even go and get more into it. So yeah, just start small. And then you'll keep going. For
sure. And if anyone's like trying to stop you, we'll cut them out.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Who was trying to stop you? Who was trying to...
Over there. He just like, bye.
Oh, okay. Okay. But yeah, no, that's really cool. I think for me, what kind of like the tipping point was, like I said, I wanted to have my own business. I was seeing... Not that I compared myself to other people. It was just more so like I was seeing like people having their business. I remember I was talking to like a really good friend of mine, and this person has a nonprofit, 2 businesses, and things like that. So we were talking, and he was trying to help me with the process of it, and I was kind of like, well, I don't feel like I'm ready. I wanted to go back to school, get my MBA, or get like a business degree, or get my fashion degree, and like then start afterwards, and then. I realized after working at Neiman's, I realized like I might as well just start now, because I think the tipping point at the time, I got into it with one of the managers, and it kind of dawned on me that like I'm not protected in this corporate company, and I need to start making something for myself now before something bad happens, or meaning like getting fired or whatever, and I'm like, on my face at that moment. So while I was in school, while I was in Neiman's, I was just thinking of ways to create designs. I wanted to learn how to drape, so I went to a draping class. I went to a pattern making class, and then my friend sent me this like, what is it? What is it called? What is that thing called where you get like discounts? Groupon. A Groupon, I guess, service or item or whatever. He sent it to me. It's like a pattern making class in downtown for like $20. And so I went to that class on a Tuesday evening, and it was really, really fun. Then I went to a draping class that they had the following week. And then I just went to another sewing class that they had. So I was teaching myself to sew and to pattern make and to drape. I really like the draping aspect and the sewing. Fun. Pattern making, I was like, listen, this is too much math.
I like pattern making because I love math.
Yeah, I don't like
But you
math.
can control it. Even though every time I'd make a pattern and I would sew it, it wouldn't work. Yeah. But it was fun. Yeah. To F up.
I think now pattern making is a lot easier for me now, because I have these like pattern making books that I just follow. Oh yeah. And it made it so much simpler. And you can get the slopers and kind of like mimic different designs. So it's a lot easier to do it now. But like back then, like 2-3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. No, it couldn't be that. Because I remember when you started doing it, you were saying, "Oh, could you come and be my pattern maker and sewer?" And I was like, "Oh, hell no!" Listen, I was like, "I need to work on my own," but then I never did. So listen, I was at Neiman's. I think I had left maybe 6 months prior to like having my first ever samples, like muslin samples. Oh, yeah. And at that time I started getting my master's in fashion merchandising. I didn't get into like the MBA school that I wanted, but I got into a fashion merchandising program. And I really, at the school that I go to is the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, and I take all my courses online. Just wanted to add that. But no, I wanted to go to MBA school just because I felt like I would get a lot of business-minded experience. Oh, yeah. But then when I didn't get into the school that I wanted, and I got into the fashion school that I wanted, I was like, do I even need a fashion degree? Like, I feel like nowadays, like people are starting fashion brands without a degree, or starting fashion brands without a fashion degree, or even starting just because they want to. So it's like, do I need it? Will I get enough experience that I need, or the amount of experience that I require in order to like be confident in what I'm doing? So I was talking to my friend about this, and he said, listen, we're very like spiritual and like, we believe in God and all this stuff. So he said, like, obviously God gave you didn't accept you into this program for a reason. He wants you to go into fashion full-fledged. And I truly believe that things don't happen coincidentally. Things happen, based on faith and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, let me try this out. If I try it out for a semester and I really don't think it's beneficial to me, then I'll just kind of drop out.
Yeah.
And my, family was paying for the first semester anyway, so I was like, why not? So then, so I started the program, and I felt like I was learning so much. And honestly, I do not regret, I love the program. I'm still in it. I'm in my final year. I'm in the fall, and the next year I graduate. So I love, honestly, one of the best programs I'm in. I'm in the fashion merchandising program and business management, and they teach you just the mathematics behind everything. They teach you how to run a business, how to start a retail business or a service business. And it's all online, so they have that digital aspect to it. So they teach you how to run it in the digital age. So I was just
great.
It was just so amazing. I didn't know, I wanted to do the fashion design program, but I didn't have, for master's degree, they want you to have samples already done and all that stuff. And I was barely learning to sew at that time.
You don't need a master's in that. I think what you're learning is way more beneficial to you and me, because then I learned.
But yeah, it was a really, I love Academy of Arts school. It was just the program was great. So after having that I guess epiphany where I was just nah, I need to start my own thing. I started learning how to sew. I started trying to drape, started trying to do pattern making, because I was I can't. I even bought so many books, so many fashion design books, so many even just those coffee table books, just to kind of get inspiration, just so I know, just so I can have that creative juice flowing. Because at that time I was so insecure, I feel I didn't have a lot of conceptualized ideas of how to create something. Whereas I feel I would learn it if I went to a design school, but at that time I was in a merchandising, I guess, program. So I felt so insecure, and when I remember I was talking to Ariel about this, and she was like, "Oh, you don't need a fashion design master's degree. I mean, what you're in right now is good, and honestly, you can even just hire designers and have them do the work for you." And I was like, "You can do that? Do designers do that? Is that what they do? Is that the secret?" Yeah. And she was like, "Yeah, I've worked you worked at BCBG, so it's she knew." So I started looking for pattern makers. I went on, don't do this. I went on eBay.
eBay or Craigslist?
Oh, sorry, Craigslist. Sorry, I don't know why. They're both the same to me. They're both the same to me.
They're really not.
I know, but they're both the same to me. But I went to Craigslist and I started looking for a pattern maker. So I went to Craigslist, I went to Indeed, found a job description from one of these designers in LA, just kind of copied and pasted, just changed my name, changed their name to my name, my brand name. And then I just put it out there. I got a couple of hits. There's this one, I met with a couple. So the first go around, there were so many hits. So many people were applying. They sent me their resumes. They sent me their lookbooks. And I was like, "Oh, I like you. I want to use them." Every time I tried to get an interview with them, crickets.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I offered to pay. I said, "Oh, I can pay you however much you charge for this." And it was crickets. Or "Oh, we would set up an interview." And then on my way to the interview with them, they would be like, "Oh, I can't make it." Yeah. And I was so discouraged at that time because I felt oh, maybe it was me, or maybe it was just the job description, or maybe it's because it's a small company or a small brand that I was trying to start that they felt "Oh, I'm not gonna do much with it."
You should save those names so when you become big and then you're "Oh, hey," be "Oh, hell no."
Oh, God, I still have the emails.
You should just leave them somewhere. Be "Oh yeah, we'll go to an interview. Can you meet me all the way over here?"
It's funny you say that because I'll get into that a little bit later. Because that just recently happened to me. So yeah, I was kind of discouraged at that time, and then I was talking to my friend about this, and then randomly I get a hit from this woman, and she says, "Oh, I'm looking to do side projects here and there and stuff like that. I saw your thing on Indeed a couple of weeks ago. I thought maybe I'll reach out." I was like, "Yeah, cool. You want to meet up? Where do you want to? Can we have a discussion?" So she lived. I live in the the suburban part of Los Angeles, and she lived in like closer to downtown.
Oh, okay.
So like Miracle Mile, I think. I think it's like, I don't know. It's like near the Grove, near the Grove. So she's like, I don't know. So I drove to her to kind of like meet her, and I was like, okay, what if she's like a serial killer and she tries to kill me, or what if she thinks I'm a serial killer and tries to?
That's how you meet in public space.
But she's her apartment was like close to like a Vons or whatever. So she told me to park at the Vons, and she'll come to me. Yeah.
But at least it was a girl.
Yeah.
So you feel a little bit safe. But I mean, if I was the girl, I would feel a little weird.
Yeah. I don't know what she was thinking, but like, she found me at the Vons. Like, not that I wouldn't do anything. I'm like a nice guy.
but now in today's age,
Yeah.
like as a girl to meet a strange guy, no matter who it is, because
Right.
she doesn't have a photo of you,
Right.
And
we met at night because she worked for.
getting worse.
She worked for this company. She worked for Galia Lavov, the couture house. Do you know who Galia Lavov? No. Okay. So they're like a wedding dress company. They have a boutique here in Los Angeles, and they have other stores across the world. So we met up at the parking lot of Vons. She had a dog, and we were just talking. I was showing her my designs, and she was like a really nice person, like super, super nice, really, really knowledgeable about the design process. There was a language barrier because I think she was Japanese, and obviously I'm Nigerian or American, whatever. So, but like she understood what I was talking about. She was very quick. She was really young. I think she went to LA Trade Tech for design. And I know LA Trade Tech's not like the top company, but like based on her, or the top school, but based on her designs, I was like, I want to work with you. Let's do it. So she's like, yeah, let's do it. And then she's like, I told her, work on this dress first. Like I had a sketch of a dress that I needed her to work on. Just create the patterns, drape it, do the muslin sample, and then we'll talk about other things. She did it within a week. And she told me how much it would cost. The cost was pretty good. It was like I think like $150 that I paid her to do it, which is pretty standard depending on who you go to. And it came out really beautiful. I was like, wow, this looks good. Like she had the muslin looked like actual fabric. Like that's how good she was. And I just kept using it for all my designs. And then actually even like my first collection, she she did all the custom or like the sample making for that. So once I was done with her, I was able to go to not a big production company, but a small production. So it's just this woman who does pattern making this other woman that does pattern making, but she has like a team of sewers. So they did a full production size for me of all my fabric in different sizes and different colors. So you can always go that route. But it can be, I wouldn't say it's more expensive than going production-wise, like working for a big production company, but it can be like a little...
I mean, everything's going to be more expensive than you just doing it yourself. But if you're like me, spend the money, because otherwise you're just going to sit on this design and never have it made.
Exactly. And at that time, I didn't realize, I don't know, I was very like naive to the idea of like my first pattern maker. Her name was Aika. Aika doing the entire production, because like I knew she was just one woman, but I had assumed since she works for a big couture house in their LA boutique, and she has a bunch of different designers that she knows and creators, I thought, oh, she can do the entire production. Like she can, and I only need like maybe like one size each. So like if it was like a size 4 to a size 12, that's like 6 pieces, I think. I just need all that for each style. And I was like, that's easy. She was like, no. She was like, no, I would die. And so I was like, okay, so where do you think I should go? She's like, well, I know of a production company that you can go to, or like a sewing sample studio that you can go to that will do it quickly. And so I was like, okay. Then my cousin actually told me of this woman named Edith in downtown LA that does like kids designs. She creates pillows, but she also like does custom product for different celebrities. Like she did for Kim Kardashian. She did for, I think she did for Beyonce. She did for like Jennifer Lopez too. So she's worked custom product for different celebrities. So I was like, okay, I'll go meet up with her and things like that, just to kind of like get an idea how much it would all cost. So I went to her, big language barrier. She only spoke Spanish, and I was like, I don't speak Spanish. I don't know. I didn't bring anyone with me because I didn't think that there would be, because she can text really good, like through text message. She's like, she understands, but like when I went there and I saw the language barrier, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to explain this to her? How am I going to explain what I need, what I want, all that stuff?
Google Translate. It's right there.
Listen.
Hello.
But the good thing about it, her partner, or like her business partner, he spoke a little bit of English, so
okay.
it was good. And her son was there too. So I was able to kind of explain everything to him, and he was kind of able to break it down for her. And I gave her my samples, I gave her my patterns, I gave her everything that day. After about maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, she said she needed the fabric. So I had to go and order the fabric. Around that time, that was when I was going to Paris. So I went to Paris for, sorry, I know I'm talking like way too long, but like I went to Paris.
No, but it's interesting.
Yeah, but I went to Paris. I had left Neiman's at this time, and I was like, okay, at that time I found this woman who's able to do my whole production at a good price. And I was like, okay, well, something happened at Neiman's, and I was like, I can't be here anymore. So I left after 3 years working there. And then
3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. So same time.
Yeah. Okay.
But we left different times.
Obviously.
So like this was like 2017.
It's like 7.
Sorry. I was like, no, this is 2017. And I think this was like May 2017 when I left. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to Paris because they're having this trade show in Paris. Usually they have this trade show twice a year. It's called the La Première Vision, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds correct.
Premiere Vision. I was trying to be extra with it. But no, so it's called Premiere Vision. Basically, it's like a trade show where a bunch of like textile suppliers showcase what what they're selling to designers or brands for the new season. So in February or September when I went, they were showing their I think it was like their fall winter selection of textiles and like silks and like tweeds, all these other like textiles that you can buy, and you don't have to go to like, I wasn't thinking of going to like Joann's or like downtown LA's like fabric district because I was like, I'm not doing that.
Because this is what you do after you leave a job. You fly to Paris and then you go to a fabric show.
Listen.
For your first collection.
Listen, at this time I was thinking like, what do I have to lose? There's nothing. I was talking to my friend. I was talking to you. Like, yeah. I was just like, what do I have to lose? Like, there's nothing. You know what I mean?
You get to go to Paris.
Yeah. Like, I had the money. I got, I was able to, and I also got to see family there too, because I had family there. So that was like another reason why I decided to go. So around May, when I left, I was just like, okay, let me book this ticket. I booked this ticket. I told Edith, the woman who owns the studio of different sewers, that I'm gonna go buy this fabric and then we can work on it, when I come back. Went to Paris, got into my Airbnb. Don't get a hotel because it's super expensive.
But Airbnb scare me in a different country.
But this Airbnb was really nice.
I know, but they have the key. Like, there is nothing to prevent them from stealing your shit.
So the guy wasn't actually in Paris at that time.
But you don't know if they have a friend. See, it freaks me out.
That's true.
I mean, especially when you have a passport on you, there's no safe. And if there was a safe, they have the combination to the safe. I feel like at a hotel, it's more secure.
Right.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any issues with him. He wasn't even in town, and he wasn't like.
But you know.
His friend lived in Paris, but like I only spoke to her when I came that day. So it was, I thought it was fine. But if you have the resources to get a hotel, just know that they're like 300 to 400 euros a night.
Well, and if you have the resources to go to Paris.
Going to actually,
we're extra.
Listen, I am extra. I am extra. But listen, my actual flight wasn't that expensive.
That's good.
It was like $600 round trip.
I'm sure now it's even cheaper.
Yeah, now it's even cheaper. It's like $400 round trip. But too bad we can't go.
I don't know if we can go yet.
Yeah.
It's still like.
But no, I was able to get cheap flights, American Airlines, nice seating actually too. Like I had leg room, everything. So I was lucky in that resort. And I went by myself. Like prior to that, I had gone to Paris with family. This time I went by myself and like kind of maneuvered the city on my own.
See, no, when I first went to Paris, I went by myself. It was a nightmare. It was like culture shock, right? When you got there.
Yeah.
And ever since then.
So I will say, got to Paris, amazing. Was able to get to my Airbnb through like the metro and everything like that. A lot of the French people were kind of nice to me. Maybe because I spoke French to them a little bit. Because I know like the ins and outs of like...
Maybe you didn't look American.
That is true.
Because I remember when I went, I would try to speak French and they'd just speak English to me. It's like, well, all right. I'm not that bad.
Right. Right. But I think what started with me was like I would first start off asking like, do you speak English in French? And then they would say, yeah. And then we would have a conversation and they would direct me to where I needed to go or they would help me. Yeah.
Yeah. If I knew how to speak, like maybe ordering food, I would just do it in French. But I know like shopping, I'd be like, okay, do you speak English? Because I have no idea how to ask for a different size.
Right.
But I know when he was going through all of this, I was still not doing my stuff. And I was thinking, oh my God, like John is doing this. I can do this too. Like, why aren't I doing anything? And I learned so much from you because before I thought I had to sew everything myself.
Right.
And it was just, I would want to stop. I'd want to quit.
Right.
But like learning from him, I learned I can go to a company and get this made. And a year later, we finally got there.
Yeah, we finally did. We finally did. I mean, I introduced her to the company she works with now, and they're doing their job. So
slowly.
Slowly.
But I know coronavirus.
Yeah.
But I think, where
was I? Oh, yeah.
We're learning.
Yeah, we're learning. Yeah, we're definitely learning. I think through that entire process, I was learning a lot about how to do business, especially how to do business overseas. So when I went to Paris, I didn't realize that a lot of these companies, well, I kind of had an inkling, but I didn't realize that a lot of these companies are, I mean, maybe I don't want to sound dumb, but I didn't think that it would be international. I thought it would just be, I know. Don't do that. I know. It was, I don't know why I didn't put two and two together, but I didn't think there would be an international. So when I saw a lot of like Italian manufacturer, like textile manufacturing, Romanian, Chinese, like I was just like, oh, this is truly global. Like it was just like a global experience for me. So I met the first day of the trade show. So I went to Paris the 13th of September, 2018, actually. 2018.
I don't even remember these dates.
Yeah. Actually, 2018 is when I quit, not 2017. Sorry about that. So, quit Neiman's.
Because they were going to, do a background check on that and be like, oh, excuse me.
I just wanted to, I'm setting the stage. I'm setting the stage of the story. So September 2018, that's when I went to Paris. So I went on the 13th of September, and then the show or the trade show started the 19th. And I was in Paris for like close to a month. I came back October, like in the middle of October. So I went to the trade show the first day. I was so intimidated. Like, I remember I went to this one fabric supplier that I've been following that they do business with Chanel and everything. I met with the American agent. Yeah. And she was like, oh, come back. I have a meeting with Tom Ford. And I was like,
you sure I can't be there?
Well, it wasn't with like Tom Ford directly. It was like Tom Ford, one of their representatives.
Sucks, because I would have been like...
Right. But it was so intimidating because I was just like, there's so many people. Everyone was doing business. I remember seeing this like European woman bring out stacks of cash just to pay for the fabric. I was just like, are we paying for this right now? It was just like, it was literally like maybe a couple thousand, like $10,000, maybe even more.
So you did your research before going?
I did my research before going of who I wanted to like meet up with. And I knew where they were located because the auditorium that they were in was pretty big. It was like huge.
Oh yeah, I've been to one.
Oh, you've been to the, yeah. It was really big. It was huge. So you'll get lost easily.
Oh yeah.
So luckily I did my research and I knew exactly where they were. So I just kind of walked directly there and I knew who I wanted to work with. I made sure that I got in contact with I made sure that I checked marked who I wanted to meet with first and who I wanted to meet with last. And then if on the last day, I kind of just met with whoever was still around. So I went to the first one, and this one was like highly reputable. They had like really, really beautiful fabric, very couture-esque fabric. And I wanted my collection to be very, not couture, but like still like high-end. So I went to them, and then like, you had to set up an appointment. I didn't know that. But they was fine with it because since this company is from Switzerland, it's a Switzerland company, they connected me with their US agent who had no appointment at the time. Then she said, okay, we're going to go about, then she kind of actually helped me with the process because I told her, listen, I'm by myself. I'm a new designer. I'm trying to work on this. She was like, okay, I got you. Because she was from her office was based in New York. And she's like, okay, I got you. Just come back in like maybe 20 minutes. I have a meeting with Tom Ford and we'll talk about it.
But see, it's good that they were like that because I know a lot of people say, oh, don't tell someone that you're new and you don't know what you're doing because then they'll take advantage.
Yeah, that's what when I said it at first, I was like, dang, why did I say this? But then she was like, no, I got you. Like, so after her meeting with Tom Ford, one of the representatives, we sat down for like literally an hour and she kind of went through the process. She said, you can either order the stock fabric that they had and they have limited quantities in that, or you can order or make your own fabric and things like that. Obviously, you're not going to spend the amount that because they work with Chanel. Obviously, you're not going to spend the amount that Chanel has, but just know that if there's a fabric that you want and Chanel buys it all, we can't give it to you because Chanel has it. And I was just like, okay, great. She gave me so much information. She was such a nice woman. I can't remember her name. I know it starts with an S or something like that, but she was so nice. And like, she kind of just walked me through the process. And after that, I was kind of like, okay, I feel a little bit confident. And I was able to I gave her my information. She said she'll send me the samples that I picked. So how it works is if you go to an agent, if you request samples, like sample swatches of the fabric, they'll send it to you after the show. So like a week later, they started sending me stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she sent me a whole bunch of stuff from her office. And like, she still sends me some stuff today. I just can't remember her name.
Now, how are the prices? That's what I'm always curious about. Is it actually like good prices, or is it like Mood Fabrics marked up prices, or?
Well, these prices are a lot more expensive
than Mood. See?
So depending on what you get, so there's this one fabric that's like a tweed with like metallic embroideries in it, and like it was like a perfect Chanel like
tweed
textile basically. So that can run between $400 to maybe $2,000
a yard. See, and now this is why something is like $60,000.
Yeah.
Because even with like something that's $30 a yard, you can still even look at like $2,000 for the garment,
right? Because
of the details that you put in.
And it's the manufacturers. They even like go based on like what you want. So this one particularly, they can do like a custom like textile. And like if you want little embellishments here and there, they will do that for you. And that's obviously...
I should just never go there because otherwise I'm just going to start selling things to people that are $100,000.
But yeah, honestly, like it was just a good experience just being there. And then maybe like 6 months later, I ordered sample fabric and gave it to my sewer, and they started working on the samples. Like the whole, well, not samples, but like, because I couldn't do a full production, they did just one piece of each size of my style. So if I had, one style, say it's like a dress, they made one size small, one size medium, one size large. And that was basically my entire collection, or my entire like production.
Which you can order now on his website.
Yes, you can order now on my website, Nkasiobi.com. That's NKASIOBI.com. Shameless plug.
It's also on his Instagram.
It's also my Instagram. My Instagram's is in the bottom of the description, so you can find it there. But yeah, it was, honestly, I feel like I probably wouldn't be where I'm at if I had like overthought my process, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at right now in terms of like my design and everything like that.
But we're not saying wait for something bad to happen before you go and like achieve your dreams. Just
right.
Go.
But I will say, even when I did leave, I think what kind of brought the thought in me was like my manager, and you know who my manager is at the time, and because I remember when she was doing my last like review, and she was like, we had like a really good heart to heart. Like she was really tough, like tough on all her workers, all her people that was working under her. She was very, very tough. But I think with me, we had like an understanding. And so she kind of gave me really, really good insight on like, if you want to do this, go ahead and do it. Don't wait until something else happens to do it. She kind of like encouraged me to really go after it and like go after things that you really want instead of trying to go after things for money. Meaning like I wanted to, at that time, before I left, I wanted to become one of the visuals because I knew one of them were leaving, the one in Beverly Hills. And she said, you don't want to be a visual merchandiser. I don't see you as that. And I was like, really? Because I really wanted to be that. It's just like, you don't want to be that.
No, you're setting yourself for something that low. You're settling.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, okay, yeah, I can do that.
Right.
I can get.
And I was like, at that time, they made better money than me. So I was like, well, let me try to progress into something where I can make more money and then maybe progress into something more. But she was like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to do something better. You want to do something. And so after that, and then when I was leaving, we had the heart to heart, and it was just, I don't know, I respect her a lot more for saying all those things, than before. So yeah, here I am, how many years later, like her, a year or two later.
A couple months later. We've been doing this for a short amount of time.
But I do remember, it's crazy because seeing everything go how it is. I remember I had Ariel actually try one of my samples one day. I was like, Ariel, I need you to try this. And she was like, okay, come. And I come late at night to her apartment and she's like trying it because she's technically a sample size. She's your size 2, right?
0, excuse me?
Sorry,
How
two extra inches, sorry. But no, so I had her try it on, and I think that process, it was so exciting because obviously I didn't have a model. I didn't know where to get a model. I knew a girl who wanted to be a model, but I felt like she wasn't tall enough, and Ariel was
I'm not tall.
You're
like 5'4".
But it looked good. Regardless.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I had his pockets. Mm-hmm. It was relaxed. It was kind of nice to try it. And then that's what I'm going to be doing with my collection too. Because they're like, oh, you bring your own model. Okay, we're going to make it fit me, and I'm just going to wear it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it like that. Because then at least I know. And I know what you're looking for too. So it's a good thing that I tried it on, because I'd be like, what the hell is going on in the crotch? What is this? But no.
But no, she looked amazing in it, and it was just super exciting. And then I actually they actually finished it. So in that process of them actually creating the production size, I'm doing air quotes, because it's not a full production. It's like a small studio production. It's a production, but it's not like a with yours it's 50 pieces.
Oh, well, let's hope people.
I forgot where I was going with that. But once the process of them completing the entire production, I felt took forever. I know it was it's supposed to be 2 to 3 months. I was like, what? But they're doing a small size one. Why are they not
Really? 2 to 3? I'm now realizing why designers do everything 6 months in advance, because it takes time.
It does.
And I am not a patient person. Yeah. I am sitting around waiting for this collection to come to life, or to fruition, to use a big word. And it's so hard to sit still.
It is.
It is. I just want to show you guys everything.
Yeah.
And it sucks saying oh, I'm doing this. And then John has stuff to show you. And I'm like, I'm not just on talk. I promise. Things are coming.
Right. No, things are coming, and you guys will be so excited to see her collection. Honestly,
I hope so.
She's shown me her sketches. She showed me her inspiration. She showed me her the fabric. Some of the fabric that she's not going to use, but still looks beautiful. I'm excited to see it come. Yeah, it's gonna come. Just listen. I'm in the process that you're in right now. I'm in it, or I was in it.
Yeah.
I hate the waiting part. I'm very, very impatient. I wanted, she told me, at least Edith, the studio owner, she told me that it will be done in a month or 2. I was like, cool, that's fine. Literally took maybe, around that time when we actually did the production, it was I want to say it was February. February, that's when I got all the sample fabric and all the sizes that I needed. And all the quantities that I needed, actually. So she started it in February. She didn't finish until maybe July of that year, 2019. And I was like, why so long? I was like, that's so long. I felt like, but then again, I couldn't blame her because she does work another job.
I mean, there's always, like, you can always make excuses. I mean, I can't blame her, but, like...
Especially if I'm paying you, and it was cheap.
It's not cheap. Okay, so to start a collection, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. It wasn't, the thing is that her pricing wasn't cheap. It was cheap compared to, like, the standard, but it wasn't, like...
Cheap to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just starting out, it's expensive. It's
expensive.
Time consuming.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of downtime.
I think I spent like maybe $20,000 for that entire collection.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I'm spending.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Yeah, but luckily, like just like Angela, Luna, I was able to get like, some funding from my school.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got a grant from my school for like, if you wanted to start a business, they, you just give them your business plan, and then I gave them my business plan, and they liked it. They gave me like, I think $5,000. I had $10,000 saved up. Actually, I had more than that, but I used half of what I had. And then my dad and my aunt gave me some money too. So I was able to kind of fund it in that, get started on that. And even now, based on like, I still have saved a lot of like the sales that I've made from some of the items that I have. And I'm able to kind of use that money to reinvest back into my business. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading an article like fashion is for the rich to get started, and hopefully that'll change because it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to do this.
Super
Lot. Or you just have to make it on your own and just kind of build it from there. But if you're like me and very impatient and get frustrated really easily, yeah.
But I would say the best way to kind of do it is it's like what you're doing right now. You're doing the sample making part, and then you're trying to like sell it to your customers, and then based on how much sales you get, you'll do the full production.
Yeah. So it'd be like a pre-order.
Yeah. So at that time, I didn't know that you could do it that way. I just wanted I thought you had to do the entire production right away. That's why I kind of negotiated with this production company to do like the studio size production run, where it's just like one size of each garment. One size of each garment or something like that. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I didn't know that you can do like pre-orders and all that stuff. If I had known that, I would have done that at the beginning instead of just...
Because it saves you so much money. Plus, then it funds you for your production, which I need.
But I think, but even now, like I feel like it's hard even with like the digital part, because I'm going through that process now with like selling clothes online, and like we're getting customers based with no actual like client base, so. It's a hard process. And I think as you go along, you'll learn more, and you'll be able to understand how to build this business and what really goes into it.
And we'll go along the way as we, figure it out.
We'll give you more updates on what our process was.
And behind the scenes looks, once we get further down into it, we'll show you what we're doing.
Right, exactly.
So you can see the whole thing from start to finish.
Right.
Instead of waiting until we die and there's a documentary.
Waiting until we die. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. This is kind of like a little intro of like how we kind of got started, and like who we are as, as designer, as a fashion merchandiser, things like that. And, what inspired us to get into this, and just kind of like our process. Like we said, just do it. Don't wait for any event to happen. I mean, I know an event for me that happened that pushed me to do it, but like, just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and just go about it however way you want it. And it doesn't have to be extravagant. You don't have to go to Paris. You can literally go to New York for the same show. I could have gone to New York for the same show, but I didn't go to New York.
And if you're in LA, you can stay here in LA too.
And there's LA Textile Week.
You really don't have to do fashion school. You don't need to do any of that. Just, honestly, just make your own collection.
Yeah.
I mean, with social media, you can pretty much do anything.
To be honest, you can finesse it any type of way and still get a good amount of followers. Trust me. I know some people that have finessed it, and they're doing really well. I'm like, in a short amount of time too. I'm just like, what?
Excuse me.
But thank you guys so much. I am John.
I'm still Ariel.
Yep. And, if you have any questions, we're actually going to put our email, or I'll just say the email.
Direct message us on Instagram.
Or direct message us on Instagram, because you should have that. You should be following us.
Answer any questions.
Answer any questions if you have any. If you need help with like navigating this side of the business, definitely here to help, and then we'll definitely give you some resources on like who we went to, what type of production company Ariel works with, the different manufacturers that I've worked with in terms of like textiles and things like that. And if you're starting a retail business like me, where it's like you have different designers as well as your own private label, I can give you showroom connections, things like that you can reach out to. So yeah, just email us or DM us. We'll put the email in the description, and yeah. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, we have videos on YouTube now. It's labeled. Thanks for watching us. It's the labeled podcast. But subscribe if you're listening to us through Apple, Spotify, all those other platforms. And yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.